The war with Iran is in full effect now, and it is just beginning. What we have to understand is it's no coincidence that Israel strikes this town in Kiswa, just south of Damascus. I mean, really within minutes after Trump signs the changes there, getting rid of the Iran deal. This is very dangerous, and I'm gonna put this into pretext. I'm gonna pretext with this. I support Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump, but he does not receive blind trust, because what's going on right now in Iran is on behalf of the Saudi Arabians and has to do with the military-industrial complex 100%. Okay, the hypocrisy is so amazing in its entirety.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Everyone knows that I'm a big supporter of President Trump, and that I like what he's doing, bringing sovereignty back to the country. You know, a man by his enemies, George Soros, Hillary, the globalist. They have been deindustrializing this country by design for decades. So I'm still a big Trump supporter. But when he struck the Syrian airbase last year, I said, listen, that may satiate the warmongers, but we know that the White Helmets and ISIS and Al-Qaeda have been caught staging chemical attacks before. And then U.S. and UN inspectors went and said it was the rebels again. They have the motive. Well, this year in April, they were pulling out. The Russians were leaving. The U.S. was announcing they were leaving. Yesterday, the final pockets of ISIS in Syria were pushed out. That was announced in the morning. Trump gives a speech. Within an hour of it, Israel starts launching missiles at a large airbase south of Damascus, the capital of Syria. And what's even crazier is 6 hours later, I'm going to bed after I'd even covered it. So it was about 8 hours after it happened. And no coverage on CNN. Almost no coverage anywhere, but a little bit on Fox, a little bit on Infowars.com. Drudge Report had a link. What if Iran responds? Well, a missile got fired, we're now learning, from a country outside Saudi Arabia and almost hit the imperial palace. So Zach, who, again, is an expert on the Middle East, expert on Libya, soon may be revealing his identity to everybody. He's been on television and been in print before. He's a known quantity to us. He's got a lot of information for us about how dangerous this is. I shot a live video after Trump's speech yesterday at about 4, right as this was starting, not even knowing, saying this could trigger a large Israeli-Iran war. People are like, oh, you're being a warmonger. Well, now mainline analysts are saying that, but I think we pretty much have a war with missiles, ICBMs being fired out of, Yemen, clearly by Iranian-connected forces, into Riyadh. These tit-for-tats going back and forth. So is this Israeli response a tit-for-tat from missiles fired months ago, or is it part of the larger Saudi Arabian civil war? Zach, thanks for joining us.
Yes, Alex, it's great to be back on and be able to connect some dots here, provide some context to the situation that's going on, because what's going on is very critical. What's occurring as we speak is Iraq 2.0. The war with Iran is in full effect now, and it is just beginning. What we have to understand is it's no coincidence that Israel strikes this town in Kiswa, just south of Damascus. I mean, really within minutes after Trump signs the changes there, getting rid of the Iran deal. This is very dangerous, and I'm gonna put this into pretext. I'm gonna pretext with this. I support Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump, but he does not receive blind trust, because what's going on right now in Iran is on behalf of the Saudi Arabians and has to do with the military-industrial complex 100%. Okay, the hypocrisy is so amazing in its entirety. So let's just give people some context here. So it's Saudi Arabia, Israel, and deep state elements of our U.S. government that have pulled off 9/11, okay? But now, ever since then, Iran is this culprit. It's unbelievable, and it's a huge, huge problem. And the idea that, oh, you're being sensational, this isn't a war. Ladies and gentlemen, they're striking missile sites in Syria that are Iran ran. 15 soldiers, Quds forces out of Iran being killed, 2 civilians there. You have the Houthis in Yemen shooting Scuds there at Riyadh, and even ballistic missiles. A lot of stuff was shut down. Firefights in the countries. It's going down. All while it's no big deal. People are acting like nothing's going on. This is everything. This is the perpetuation of war in the Middle East, the military-industrial complex.
By the way, when I talked to you last night, just a few hours into this, you said, look at the amnesia. Look how there's no coverage. And that's critical. And now a day later, there's almost no coverage of this. What does that signify?
It's crazy. People can't connect the two dots. All of a sudden, Saudi Arabia is our closest ally. How could that be? Iran bad, Saudi Arabia good. Folks, I got some news for you. Saudi Arabia is bad, bad, bad news, okay? But we want to go over there, wave swords, build this empire. I get it. If we're going to work, they're going to reform. I get it. But when we're talking about destabilizing the Middle East and really carrying out the plan, we got a big problem here. So because, I got a big problem right here with Donald Trump. What happened to Donald Trump on the stage telling Hillary Clinton that, it's a good thing like a guy like you wouldn't be in office, and he cuts her off and says, yeah, because you'd be in jail. Well, here's the thing, bud. You are in office, and she's not in jail. And, in fact, we're starting a new war. So what's going on here? For all the good you're doing, and you're doing good, this is not good. And I'm not going to have blind allegiance here because this is about war. This is about global peace. And what's going on here is nothing more than doing the bidding of the Saudi Arabias because they are the highest bidders at the table, and they are not our friends. They are the highest bidders. We are business partners, but we are not friends. It's so the hypocrisy is amazing, and this is the big issue. They stress and stress and stress that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Is that right? All right, well, let me speak to the listeners right now. We're all Second Amendment supporters, right? We're Second Amendment supporters here. We understand the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. So we've been running this whole line of when it comes to the nukes, the whole nana boo-boo, we have nukes, but you can't too game. How can that be? Let's look at track records. If I was a sovereign country, you better believe I'm trying to get nukes. And how are you going to have the moral high ground and tell me that I can't use them when you're the only entity?
Well, here's the other issue. If the globalists weren't globalists and doing this actually promote American values, it'd still be wrong, but it wouldn't be as bad. The globalists hate America and hate our freedom are the ones trying to destabilize the Middle East and kick out good actors or neutral actors to put bad ones in to work with Turkey to try to conquer Europe.
And the countries under, like we talked about, amnesia. It's a very frightening amnesia with the apocalypse of information and all the collage of chaos, everything that's going on. And you'll hear these people and they'll come out and this will be the justification. Well, the lawmakers in Iran are burning American flags and chanting death to America. Well, I got a news flash for you. I'll take you to 100 college campuses as we speak in this own country and show you kids burning flags and chanting death to America. Don't act like the deep state, the Democrats, Black Lives Matter, and all the other factions here aren't doing the same things. Don't justify the perpetuation of the military.
And Zach, let me explain that psychological warfare equation and dialectic. The big mega foundations, Ford, Carnegie, Rockefeller, all fund hate America, hate the police, hate the military, hate free market when they're the ultra rich because they want a domesticated population. That's all declassified. They have America do their dirty work, then they own publications worldwide that then demonize America and blame it, telling people that Americans all back this, so when they bring America down to China, down the road, the world accepts it as a good thing. So that's how sophisticated this is.
Absolutely. The idea that this is about, peace and cleaning things up, this is about money and oil, okay? Unfortunately, the greatest export in this country is war and entertainment. And sadly, they have merged, and the public has bought it. They have bought it. What is this, perpetual war? We're just going to build an empire? I'm not here to stick up for Iran. I'm America first, truly through and through. That's just where it is. But the idea, if we're going to look at track record and see who's in the empire building business, it's very clear here. So we have to stand up, and we could back Trump on certain fronts here. But what's going on here is this weird military-industrial complex, empire building in conjunction with Saudi Arabia to take over the Middle East as we take over the rest of the world, and eventually.
Sure. But just what Wesley Clark broke down 10 years ago. But let's give him near term, short term, near future, how this can kick off into a wider war very quickly if the Iranians or the Syrians, as you said in our text messages, even flinch.
Okay. So we see how crazy what went on in Syria is. Obvious false flag, completely fabricated, terrible acting, it brings on a strike there. So with the speech in the Iran deal being signed, he didn't say that we're going to strike Iran. In certain terms, he kind of did, basically warning them. But what he did do was give the go-ahead to Israel and other actors there in the region to pull off false flags, to do whatever they have to do. And, of course, with ironclad support, we'll have Israel's back. And, unfortunately, certain other factions in that country's back there. So what was done in that deal was giving Israel the okay because this is Bibi's last stand. They've been trying to pull this off forever. And I have a real problem with it because it's Saudi Arabia, Israel, and deep state factions of our government that pulled off 9/11. Make no mistake. Okay? Not our own government, but deep state factions in those two other countries without question. Everyone forgot about the boogeyman bin Laden. That's not even the zeitgeist anymore. People don't even use that name anymore. But where was that military-industrial complex creature created and funded? Oh, yeah, Saudi Arabia. Like, give me a break here. We got big problems here. And it's all, I understand the enthusiasm. I understand the momentum.
Sure, well, Zach, stay there. We're coming back in 2 minutes to put bookends on this and then getting the latest on Mueller and what your take is on that, your intel is on that. And then Leo Zagami is going to join us inside the Vatican, inside a very deep branch of the Masonic Illuminati for real. That's coming up. Please don't forget, they're trying to censor us. They're trying to block us. On the local AM you're listening to or FM, please support them. Please spread the word about the local station. Same thing for local cable, local TV. Please spread the word. Buy an ad in the newspaper. Put up a billboard. This is a war. We need your help, so thank you all for your help. And please shop with the good guys. 50% off our entire family of Super Blue, fluoride-free, colloidal silver iodine toothpaste, and our Ultimate Bodies turmeric formula, 50% off. I decided to do that, even though supplies are running low. I want to get those of you off the fence that haven't tried it, and I think you're going to get hooked. We'll be back with the second hour. Stay with us. All right, Zach is a highly connected intel individual, really smart, like to have him on, has a lot of courage. Soon he'll be, hopefully, coming on the show and revealing his identity. He's got to think about getting out of the military entirely if he's going to do that. He's got a lot of stuff going on. But if you've got Trump starting to diverge from what he said he would do, unless you look at it like this. The deal 6 years ago was made by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Dempsey, to block Obama turning the entire Middle East over to al-Qaeda and ISIS. And our own military started working with the Russians to block the full takeover because most of the rebels, 90+%, were ISIS, al-Nusra / al-Qaeda, rebranded al-Qaeda. And the deal was that Iran would then pull out, and then Assad would have elections. Once that was over, and we first learned about this from Colonel Schaefer and others and Tosh Plumley, and then years later it came out that that unofficial deal was made. So Trump could argue Iran's not pulling out. That's what Israel said this week is, you pull out or we're going to start attacking you. So I'm not defending what Trump did, but I mean, it looks like that's the deal here. And some could say, Israel's saying, through unofficial sources, that Iran was readying offensive missiles and pointing them at Israel. My issue here is, shouldn't we just have sanctions on Iran? Shouldn't we go that direction? This immediate escalation is beyond saber-rattling. And then how does Korea then play into that equation? How much of this is ahead of the Korean deal with Trump making statements like, Trump, United States no longer makes empty threats? And we'll put that up on screen, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, let's just get one thing clear. Not offensive missile movements. That would be complete defensive missile movements. Iran's not perpetuating anything. I mean, listen, I'm not pro-Iran, but the idea that they're launching attacks or like, yeah, they're getting ready for Gaddafi 2.0. They're getting ready for Iraq 2.0. If you were them, you'd be doing the same thing there. But, you know, and here's the thing. They all say trust the plan. Yeah, let's trust the plan. The plan was lock her up, not keep it up when it comes to military-industrial complex. This is a problem. This is a real problem here because he's doing a lot of good. And if you want to go to the Korean Peninsula, we spoke about it 6 months ago. Nobody uttered these words, strategic patience, until yourself and I were on air speaking.
We first laid out what the new policy was, and I confirmed that with Pachenik and a bunch of others. In fact, we should go back on all the shows you were on and show how you were dead on months before, and so was I, just so folks know why we're under such attack.
100%. So I got a real problem with, perpetuating military-industrial complex building. Meanwhile, Hussein, Huma, and Hillary are chilling, fist-bumping with Richard Branson. Lock her up, not keep it up. That was the plan. So they want to talk about trust the plan, this and that. This is ridiculous. Saudi Arabia had everything to do with Vegas, had everything to do with 9/11, and all of a sudden, because they're a high-profile client, they're the highest bidder, we're going to just, lay in bed with them? I got a big problem with that. That's not why I elected you. That's not why we elected you. And make no mistake, you work for us. Okay?
Well, Trump said he does what he says he's going to do. And so far as presidents go, I haven't seen any president in modern history that has followed through on what they said as much as Trump. But on foreign policy, he's breaking. And we know, because they kill you if you don't. But if he starts breaking on this, what else will he break on? We'll see if Iran comes to the table. We'll see if carrying a big stick and being very, very clear makes them start to back down. I don't think that's enough for Saudi Arabia. Like you've said, they're going to want a wider war. They want to get their foot on the neck of Iran, and that's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, that's like saying coming to the table. Coming to the table for what? Are we not going to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, which has been your life's work? Are we not going to admit that the military-industrial complex is ran?
Well, let's go further. Let's go further. Let's go further. It's an inside job of globalism against nation states, and they're not going to let Iran have a secular government and give the young people what they want. If they were really going to do that, so I could go travel there, and they've got great culture and science and another big glistening country, I'd be all for overthrowing them. They're going to put something worse in. They're going to break it up in 5 parts and have civil wars. We all know that. Zach, thanks for popping in with us. Pop in for a full hour on Sunday if you can. I know you've got some time then. We'll be back with Leo Zagami, a real former member of the Illuminati, P2 Masonic Lodge, inside the Vatican. That's why he is the guy that years before anybody else laid out the entire blueprint. Next year's News Today, InfoWars.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
InfoWars comes to mind.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
There's a lot of controversy around this network about Alex Jones.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to bury stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website InfoWars.
It sounds like it's confirmed there are at least 2 shooters with a fully automatic weapon.
Dr. Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
JFK was shot from the back and the front.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
They took the babies out of incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
I think this is a national security imperative. We have clear things that we do not understand how they work, operating in areas that we can't control.
UFOs.
Is this global governance at last? Is it one world? The central bankers in charge?
Israel claims the attack was accidental, but some former U.S. naval officers say it was on purpose. They describe the day's action as part of a continuing cover-up.
Russian intelligence compiled a dossier on Mr. Trump during visits to Moscow.
Russian scum!
Denied everything. He called it all fake news.
And he accused CNN of being fake news.
This is a national emergency.
If they kill Trump or remove Trump, it will cause a massive civil war in this country.
This is a FEMA high-level alert.
We are at war with Russia.
Are you aware that Mr. Stone also stated publicly that he was in direct communication with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks?
The White House and the President are citing InfoWars.
They could shut us down. You're next.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
It was early on in the Revolutionary War when the U.S. Navy had less than 10 major surface ships that John Paul Jones, the father of the U.S. Navy, while engaging a British ship 3 times the size of his, said, "I've only begun to fight." And that's when the ship was sinking and was on fire. But he didn't give up. And he won. That's part of the ethos of this country. But not everybody is brought right to the wall and given victory. The Alamo stood and fought victory or death, Colonel Travis. And they all died, all 180 plus men. The seed of that example led to the victory that came. So I don't know how InfoWars fight is going to end. But I know this. Faced with the same challenges that John Paul Jones and Colonel Travis faced, with this country under attack by foreign evil forces, hell-bent on enslaving us, destroying the promise of the Renaissance, I will quote Colonel Travis 110% and hope that I can man up to be in his shoes and say victory or death. Let me tell you something. I get tears in my eyes when I think about that because I love America. It's not fear that makes me get tears in my eyes. It's will and strength boiling to defeat these tyrants and these globalists. But that said, just like our information is game-changing. The products that we sell, all of them, are powerful. And whether it's colloidal silver from $19.95, the very best out there, same stuff they sell at Whole Foods for $5 less, or whether it's DNA Force that's now back in stock, PQQ, CoQ10, and the other key elements that are in this product would cost $300, $400 if you put it all separately in little bottles. They sell PQQ in little bottles with a third the dose we put in this, each caplet, each powdered capsule, and it is, again, the third as much, and it's like $40, $50 for a little bottle. Think about that. It's $74 right now. It's our flagship, most expensive product because these compounds are expensive to get and to have organic. And that's how we fund our operation. So I can't read you the thousands of reviews of the old DNA Force or Cell Force that were similar formulas, but this is even stronger and lower price. So I signed a bigger contract, got a better deal. We've invested out for the year and believe you're going to want lower price on this and get the best product. So I've not gambled. I know you want value. So we've bought even more of it. We're signed up every month to get thousands of bottles of it. And we've got it right now at the lowest price of this formula and this combination you're going to find anywhere. DNA Force, go read the 5-star reviews, thousands of them. Go see what people said it did for them. It is dramatic. It would take hours to get into all the studies and the facts and the information about what Mother Nature, through God, we were given. The PQQ, the CoQ10, and then all the other concentrated organic herbs and things that go into this so your body can actually upload it. DNA Force Plus telomere support, now available at InfoWarsStore.com, or you can call 888-253-3139. Every other major conservative website or talk show host is funded by the Mercers or some other billionaire family. That's fine. I'm not funded by any of that. I'm funded by you. So thank you all, and please continue to support us because without you, we will fall to Soros and Hillary. But I know in my gut we're going to win this one way or the other.